Hello everyone, how you going? And welcome back to some more Heritage Minutes. Now it's been a little while, but they're still my favourite, and so here we go. We've got Jim Egan for number 1.
I never thought I'd know that feeling. To be in love. Because for us, it was a crime. Someone had to respond to the tabloids, so I wrote letters, challenging every misconception about homosexuality. 9 homes, 7 dogs, 47 years together, and still not spouses under the law.
Wow.
So we took our fight to the Supreme Court.
Jim Egan and Jack Nesbitt await a verdict on their fight for spousal rights.
Hello. We lost our case. But we made a difference.
As a result of Jim Egan's case, the Supreme Court ruled that sexual orientation is protected under the Charter of Rights, a landmark victory for the LGBTQ2 community.
Oh geez, well at least I can certainly say that Heritage Minutes haven't changed in terms of taking you on a roller coaster. I just assumed that they were going to win the case, and then all of a sudden they didn't. I was like, oh what? Because it was 1995. I mean, I guess if I think about it, I do know that Canada wasn't that early in terms of 1995. It was more the 2000s, I believe, but still, the fact that they were just kind of fighting for, was it 45 years? Yeah, 47 years together, all of those just different memories and things, and then all of a sudden you just pick up the phone and it's denied. I mean, imagine delivering that verdict and how that entire thing works. I'm almost kind of surprised that they were just at home and they weren't actually kind of around for the verdict per se, but either way, obviously they're trying to kind of just be calm and collected with hopefully family, whatever it may be, sitting around drinking a cup of tea or maybe maple syrup. Either way, the entire thing was just a roller coaster from the start here in 1945, I believe it was. No, 1948, and just like that, you go through the entire thing, but then the cops walk in and they're like, we just have to give some more space in it. And I guess that is the major point of difference. The fact is that it wasn't even kind of shunned upon or frowned upon or anything like that. It was actually just full-on illegal, and that's just insane in terms of from a modern day standard. I think one of the most tragic ones I've heard of, which kind of I was reminded when it was on the typewriter, even though it's not the same thing, is just Alan Turing, how the things he went through and then ended up just, I believe, committing suicide because of the entire process that he was put through. And of course, that's an incredible human being, incredible mind, just everything, but that is still only one story of, I can only imagine, millions. So I guess overall, as summed up by the end here, they might have lost the battle, but really I don't think they lost the war. You know, they say they made a massive strides towards just, I guess, the modern world as it is today, and we still got a little bit to go, but it's definitely better than it was. And I guess that's the only real way that things ever change, you know, just one little step at a time. But anyway, now moving on to our second one, we have D-Day.
They were just kids from New Brunswick. Never even left the North Shore before. Dad trained them the best he could. But how could they possibly be prepared? This was the biggest operation the world had ever seen. He'd already served in the First World War, earned the right to stay home, raise his children. But how could he send those boys into battle and not be by their side? Many were killed that day. One was my father.
Major Archie McNaughton was 47 when he died on D-Day, the invasion that marked the beginning of the end of the Second World War.
Oh, well, I know that I like to talk about roller coasters, but man, this was just an absolute downwards trajectory from the beginning. I mean, I guess I knew what it was going to be about. Everyone really knows about D-Day overall, but I was curious to see how they were going to present it, and I guess this guy never actually said anything, did he? He just was a character within this entire story. I mean, it was his story, but still, it's incredible that he never said anything. I mean, obviously, it makes sense that we start out Juno Beach, June 6th, 1944, and then just kind of, I don't know, just work his way through. I must say, something that caught me completely off guard was all of these blimps. I've never seen or never even known that there was that kind of many blimps. I mean, I know that Heritage Minutes are highly accurate, and so I don't doubt that there was that many or just a whole bundle in the sky. Obviously, I guess they're all warships as well, and so they tethered to warships? Is that what's going on? Wow, I've never heard anything like that before, so that's interesting in itself. But you can just kind of see the carnage here, even just the juxtaposition between every single bit of steel on that water and then everything on land is just burning down because it's mostly timber. And obviously this guy, J.A. McNaughton, Ed? Or I don't know, the ED would be the military rank or military position. But no, the fact that he just went in again after World War I, he'd earned his right to stay home as his daughter is voicing over, but he just couldn't bring himself, knowing the kind of devastation that war would bring, he couldn't bring himself to not go back, I guess, and just help out these boys. Because look, you can see, like, he's clearly not the youngest one out of all of these guys here. Yeah, no, 47, and just going back into war, man. I mean, you would have seen a lot of things, and there were so many problems with the entire thing, but it's just a devastating event in history. Now, I'm sure someone else would have filled this place, but just look at them all. You know, these guys were like, what, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and you were kind of old. But really, what got me in the end was just this ending scene where he turns and he just sees, I mean, I guess he's envisioning of his daughter or whatever. Look at this, just this little girl standing in the fly screen window, and he just, of course you can't do it. Like, you would never be able to pull yourself to do that. And I mean, of course, this is a dramatization in terms of they don't know what he was thinking about, but at the same time, the fact that you can only kind of assume that if you see something like that, you haven't seen your family in, I don't know, 8 months, 9 months, a year, it depends how long he's been out, but then you turn a corner, you see that, and there's no way you'd be able to do that. You get completely lost in a moment, and that's all it takes sometimes, you know, there's one little lapse in concentration or focus, whatever you want to call it, and then all of a sudden, that's it. So I guess in a way, even though it's completely separate topics and completely different issues and everything, I'm going to say the same thing that I said to the last one. It's only one case in millions and millions and millions of stories. Same with the Insulin Heritage Minute. And I mean, of course, it would be very difficult to be able to portray all of history in a 1 minute segment, but they do so well with it. But either way, you just have to go, hang on a second, this is only one story of thousands or millions, whatever it may be, and it just really, if you can even attempt to put into scale, good on you, but otherwise it's almost impossible to fathom just the effect on history like this. But anyway, moving on to our third one, we have boat people refugees.
My mother said we had to leave home. The communists were going to take my father away. If my parents were afraid, they didn't show us. But we would never forget our escape from Vietnam. We were lost.
What was your job in Vietnam?
University professor.
We had no home.
Do you have any family in Canada?
No, sir.
Nobody wanted us.
Welcome to Canada.
Canada chose us.
Wow.
Canadians opened their borders, their homes, and their hearts to more than 100,000 refugees fleeing persecution after the Vietnam War.
We were home.
Oh man, what can I say besides I'm so thankful that that one turned out kind of differently to what I was expecting. We've just been watching 2 ones in a row that were a little bit disheartening, and I just kind of expected this one kind of being another military point of view in some ways, just to go south again, and I didn't know where it was going to be going after that. But no, it just proved me wrong, and man, was it just a good turn of events for everyone involved. I think it's just the fact that when he looked up like this, just kind of the way he flicks over the piece of paper, he's kind of reading it over, he flicks it up. That kind of facial expression looks like you're going to say, we just don't want you, or whatever it may be.
Welcome to
and then
Canada.
all of a sudden he just says that, and it's like, oh my goodness, man, you were playing with my heart and everything. Man, it's like every single one is just a roller coaster of emotions. It's ridiculous. The relief that these guys would have felt is just, man, even like they say, Canada chose us. And the feelings and just the emotion and all the joy that would have been felt with that when you're trying to just escape your horrible situation and you're just wondering where he's going to take us in. I have no idea. You've run out of options. You know, the boat is sinking. We have to jump. Like, even your last resort has then just failed you in some ways. And I guess they were certainly just picked up by, I don't know, International Border Patrol on a boat, refugee camp. I'm not going to be able to say that, but Malaysia. And then, yeah, I don't know what the Canadians were doing there. When was this? Off the shore of Malaysia, 1979. Yeah, I just don't understand how they got from off the shore of Malaysia all the way to Canada, or I guess in the camp. But why is Canada there? I don't know enough history and enough of the context surrounding it. But either way, I can understand a good situation or a heartwarming situation in the end when I hear it and when I see it. Even just the fact that she said
If
this.
my parents were afraid, they didn't show us.
Like that, you know, you kind of, as an adult, you're going, hang on a second, I can only imagine they would have been afraid. They wouldn't have known what was going to be coming for the family, for themselves, whatever you want to say. But they just had to hold it together and just kind of navigate their way out of this horrible situation, but just not show the kids to what extent they were actually in. I mean, of course, as kids in a situation like this, you definitely understand to some degree what's going on. You might not know the full truth about why, but either way, you definitely know that it's not a great situation to be in. I just want to listen to it again though.
Canadians open their borders, their homes, and their hearts to more than 100,000 refugees fleeing persecution after the Vietnam War.
Okay then, well I guess that explains the context. I knew the year and everything, but I just didn't understand how they get from one to another in terms of being boat people according to the title. And so I guess, like she said, to open up your borders to 1 million people directly after a war that you were kind of involved in, I mean, it's a hell of a thing and a remarkable thing to do. I'm not entirely sure, but it almost looks like this is a donation center where families and refugees can come and pick up more clothes and maybe toys and things as well. And then obviously just this gesture as well, you know, like here you go, just have this beanie, stay nice and warm because you definitely want to do that. But then just to have that big CH, is that that's hockey, but I don't know what. Is that Canadian hockey? Is that what that means? I have no idea. Maybe you can let me know so I can understand just kind of the symbolic nature of this gift. But either way, I just can't get over the fact that once again, we just have one story of millions. You know, this is just one family and it's an incredible story, but it's still only one story of millions. And so, oh man, you just really start to get the scale of the entire thing and all of these massive historical events that have just changed millions and millions and millions of people's lives and honestly just basically the world as well. But anyway, now moving on to our fourth one, we have Queenston Heights.
General Brock is dead. Americans hold the Heights. We are but 100 men. They are thousands.
Sawadis. Our future was determined by our oath, not the Americans. This land does not belong to them. Comrades and brothers, remember the fame of ancient warriors. Let not their numbers frighten you. I know in my heart, before the sun falls behind these hills, our enemy will have fallen before you.
Well, what can we hold them?
At the Battle of Queenston Heights, 80 Grand River warriors, including John Norton and John Brand, held off the Americans for hours to help take back the Heights.
Wait, hang on, that finished way too quickly and went to an ad. I just want to see, what did she say?
To help take back the Heights.
Oh, to help take back the Heights. I mean, I must admit, I don't know what's going on in the background here because they said 80, but there's about 60,000 in the background and they're all firing, or I don't know, I saw some reds as well. Look, there's red here and then blue. Oh, the red codes. Oh, now I'm just confused about what this entire thing is about. I mean, it did say 1812, but to be honest, that doesn't really help me much in terms of that exact year. Doesn't mean anything to me as an Australian. I mean, I must admit, at the start here, I didn't know what was going on. It looked like he was just about to barge through all of these guys, but then it's like, oh, I'm just delivering a message. But then I do love one of his lines. What did he say? He said about the history of warriors?
Comrades and brothers, remember the fame of ancient warriors. Let not their numbers frighten you. I know in my heart, before the sun falls behind these hills, our enemy will have fallen before you.
Ah, yes, remember the fame of ancient warriors, just this driving spirit that you've got. Like, you know, these guys that have just gone out there for literally thousands of years, but you've just heard of these legends that have just won these battles or whatever it may be, and so just kind of draw upon their power, if you want to call it that, draw upon their spirit and just get inspiration for them. Let their numbers not frighten you, he said as well, and just like that, a power of belief and just going out there to Queenston Heights. I don't know where this is or what kind of contextual relationship it has to the war, but just the fact that he goes, these lands do not belong to these people. For goodness sake, there's a reason they're trying to take them from us. And so based off what he says right here,
our future was determined by our oath, not the Americans.
Just like that, you know, we're going in, we understand what we're up against, but really we have an oath to keep and we're just going to do it. We're going to remain just strong, steadfast, and just under the belief that we can actually win this war and just actually make a difference in terms of just keeping our lands. But either way, as she said,
Queenston Heights, 80 Grand River warriors, including John Norton and John Brand, held off the Americans for hours to help take back the Heights.
The fact is that 80 of them just held off the Americans for hours. I don't know what happened in the end, but 80 of them, 80 men, just with a couple of, I guess, rifles, if you want to call them that, 80 of them were managed to hold off thousands and thousands of American soldiers with the same artillery and everything, if not more. And I guess this part of history is never a light and fluffy topic, but you still have to give credit where credit is due in terms of just incredible warriors, incredible people that were just driven and knew what they wanted, and they just went out there for themselves and their people and their country. But anyway, in saying that, I reckon I'm going to call it there. So thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, feel free to do the YouTube algorithmic things down below. Also, if this is the first video of mine that you're watching, then make sure to check out just any of the other Heritage Minutes or any of the Canadian videos, the international videos that I've done. Also, make sure to check out the original videos down in the description below, or hey, maybe even just want to consider subscribing so that you don't miss another one of these in the future. But all in all, have a good one and see ya.